the record contract and what was going on with me and the company until we kissed and made up, and a business dealing that I was really put everything I had in my life in.
At 63, rock icon Jon Bon Jovi finally admitted the world revolves around her. After decades in the spotlight, he has publicly called his wife Dorothea Hurley the love of his life. How did a marriage that began in high school survive fame, scandal, and the lure of rock and roll for more than So, what happened to an ordinary New Jersey girl who captured the heart of one of the world's most famous rockers? Let's go back in time to discover the first chapter of this untold love story. The love story of Jon Bon Jovi and Dorothea Hurley began during their high school days at Sayreville War Memorial High School in New Jersey. A humble beginning that few expected would become the springboard for one of the most enduring and rare relationships in rock music. In 1980, when Jon was 18 and Dorothea was 17, fate brought them together in a very interesting and unexpected way. Jon, who was not yet famous, tried to cheat on a test by looking at the paper of Dorothea, a serious, excellent student who stood out for her impressive academic achievements and karate skills. At that time, Jon Francis Bon Jovi Jr. was just an ordinary teenager with an unexplored passion for music, while Dorothea was a hard-working, determined student. Their relationship did not blossom from the start, nor was it a love at first sight like many other famous stories. Instead, a friendship slowly formed based on mutual respect and admiration, gradually developing into deep love. Jon once confided that when he first saw Dorothea, he was attracted to her quiet strength, something that was not easy to recognize, but made him feel secure and encouraged. Dorothea, with her steadfastness and stability, was the solid support Jon needed during the first tumultuous and challenging years of his musical career. When Jon began pursuing his dream and forming the band Bon Jovi in 1983, Dorothea was always there, silently supporting and accompanying. Not only did she witness his progress from small performances to his national fame, but she was also the one who helped Jon stay strong and avoid being swept up in the temptations and pressures of fame. However, their love also experienced many challenges. In 1985, when Bon Jovi had just released their breakthrough album Slippery When Wet and Jon's career began to soar, the couple temporarily broke up. During this time, Jon had a brief relationship with actress Diane Lane. But it was these challenges that made them realize the true value of the feelings they had. Jon once shared that after all the ups and downs, they both understood that what we had was too precious to lose. After a touching reconciliation, Jon and Dorothea reunited, maintaining their relationship despite their busy work schedules and constant media attention. Their youthful love matured and became a solid foundation for them to overcome the bright spotlight together. Then in 1989, when Bon Jovi was at the peak of their career, they officially entered married life with a surprise but meaningful wedding. Yet, they still surprised the world with a bold and emotional decision. So what made Jon Bon Jovi, at the height of his fame, choose to hold a secret wedding in Las Vegas? The story behind the lightning wedding not only shocked the media, but also revealed many profound things about how Jon views true love. Let's go inside. The secret Vegas wedding. In April 1989, as the world was dazzled by the glory of Bon Jovi, one of the biggest musical icons of the time, Jon Bon Jovi quietly made a decision that would take the music industry by surprise. At the age of 27, with his name plastered across stages big and small, rock charts and the hearts of millions of fans, Jon suddenly decided to enter marriage in a way that no one expected. While on tour with the band for the New Jersey Syndicate Tour, one of the most successful tours of that era, Jon and Dorothea were taking a few days off in Los Angeles. During a rare moment of quiet in their hotel room, Jon looked out the window and saw a giant billboard advertising his band. It was then that he felt the need for something real, something private, something beyond the spotlight and the frenzy of the crowd. He turned to Dorothea and said simply, "I have a crazy idea, let's go to Vegas. Now." Dorothea looked at him in shock and asked, "Now?" Jon just smiled. "Yes, now." Just a few hours later, they were at Graceland Wedding Chapel, one of the most famous wedding venues in Las Vegas, where many famous couples had exchanged their vows. They had no plan, no fancy wedding dresses, no prestigious guests. No one even knew. The taxi driver was the only witness to the ceremony. No band, no manager, no friends, no family, just the two of them. exactly as they had started together as teenagers. However, that sacred private moment was quickly invaded by the outside world. When the news of the wedding was revealed, the reaction from the parties involved was almost panic. The manager called in anger, the band members were shocked, the families of both sides were completely passive, and the big names in the recording industry were extremely disappointed. One manager even said sourly, "America's boy is getting married now? Do you understand that it will kill your image?" As if marriage were a fatal blow to your career. John later compared that feeling to Harry Styles or Justin Timberlake announcing their marriage at the peak of their career. Not what the public or the entertainment industry wanted. Public opinion was in an uproar, the press was gossiping, and many people thought he had ruined his career because of a moment of impulsiveness. However, amid the storm of criticism, John had no regrets. "It's a shame because it was supposed to be a beautiful moment," he says calmly but firmly. "But after we did it, people tried to take it away from us. And I thought, wait a minute, why would we live our lives for anyone else?" The statement is not only a declaration of John and Dorothea's love, but also a symbol of the courage to choose the truth in a world full of false pressures. That secret wedding in 1989, once considered a mistake, has now become a testament to a love that has endured for more than 3 decades. 36 years later, the couple is still together, quietly, steadfastly, and without the spotlight to prove it. But can a secret wedding stand up to the bright spotlight, endless tours, and millions of admiring eyes around the world? At the height of his fame, Jon Bon Jovi not only had to deal with the pressure of his career, but also the countless temptations that always lurk for rock stars like. So, how did he keep his heart devoted to one woman? And what are John's most sincere confessions after all those years? The answer, as he admits, is not always perfect, but it is extremely sincere. Fame, temptation, honest confessions. In a rare interview in 2020, John spoke candidly for the first time about the cracks in his marriage, specifically, the times he failed to stay faithful. "I'm not a saint," he sighed, adding, "I've had my moments." It's a short sentence, but it contains an admission that few celebrities dare to make publicly. Especially when they have such a squeaky clean image and such an admired marriage as John and Dorothea's. Temptation lurks for every star, especially at the height of Bon Jovi. With millions of fans worldwide, hundreds of nights on tour across continents, backstage parties, and never-ending lights. It's hard for someone so young, successful, and idolized to overcome it all. "I got away with an extremely serious crime. I'm not a saint, but that's ancient history," he added. A confession that was both a relief and apologetic. After a surprise wedding in Las Vegas in 1989, Dorothea, John's high school sweetheart, who became his wife, was quietly thrust into a world she was never prepared for. Life with a rock star on the cusp of global stardom. And unlike fairy tales, real life brought very real challenges. John was often gone for months, sometimes quarters. The long nights of performing in Europe, Asia, America came with loneliness, pressure, and unpredictable temptation. Being married to a rock star is never easy, John admitted in a television appearance. Dorothea, then, was not just a wife, she was also a mother, a keeper of the family fire, and a steadfast person when everything around her was spinning with her husband's aura. The couple built their own rules to survive the distance. They kept in touch every day. Dorothea sometimes flew to her husband's shows if her schedule allowed, and most importantly, they kept their marriage grounded in reality, not letting it drift away in the clouds of fame. "We worked hard every day," John said, "but we never forgot to enjoy each other. We never got caught up in the trappings of fame." For John, Dorothea was more than just a partner. She was his anchor in the storm, his compass when he lost his way, his only haven when he was out of the spotlight. "I'm a dreamer. I see things soar, and sometimes they crash. But she's the one who keeps me grounded," he once said, his eyes shining with undisguised gratitude. While John roamed the world, Dorothea stayed behind to raise her 4 children in the most normal environment possible. A near impossible thing for the children of a global superstar. There were no lavish mansions on display, no glamorous lives in the media. Dorothea created a world where our children could grow up like normal children. She was the one who built this home, the real foundation of our family. John shared in a quiet voice, and when asked what kept him going through all those long, stressful years, he said, "I have no doubt my world still exists because of her." Through the spotlight, the temptations, and the courageous confessions, Jon and Dorothea have remained steadfast in their commitment to each other for more than 3 decades. What has helped them survive the seemingly impossible tests of fame and time? What has kept them together after 36 years, not just as a couple, but as two soulmates who have grown up together? The principles. After nearly 4 decades together, the secret to a rock star's enduring marriage with his childhood sweetheart isn't elaborate gestures or grand promises. Rather, it's a set of seemingly simple principles. One that requires consistency and maturity over time. Jon Bon Jovi and Dorothea Hurley, who have been together since high school in New Jersey, didn't just fall in love. They grew up together. They don't chase the spotlight, nor know they let the spotlight overshadow their core family values. In many interviews, Jon has emphasized something that seems obvious but is incredibly important: respect. We respect each other, he says. We grew up together, and we like each other. We want to hang out together, not out of obligation, but because it makes us happy. Dorothea, with her usual wit, calls their love a combination of intuition and patience. I always say I'm good at spotting potential. I have that gift, she laughs. But more importantly, Dorothea says, they grew at the same pace. Neither was left behind, nor was one pulling the other toward them. We didn't grow in opposite directions, she says. We learned to adjust to the same rhythm, to the same speed. That bond is no accident. In the world of celebrity, where seduction and distance can easily erode long-term relationships, Jon and Dorothea choose to avoid the familiar pitfalls. We work very hard to keep it together, Jon admits, but we also enjoy each other, and we never allow ourselves to fall into the trap that so many other famous people have fallen into. He adds, with the self-awareness of someone who has been there before, we've seen it happen in close friends and people we've known from afar. But for me, what I do, music, performing, it's just a job, it's not who I am. It doesn't define me. A big part of that strength comes from family. Together they raised 4 children, Stephanie, 31, Jesse, 30, Jake, 22, and Romeo, 21, in an environment that Dorothea tried to keep as normal as possible. We always tried to have dinner together as much as possible, she says. Family always came first, whether Jon was on tour or not. Jon, despite his busy schedule, changed completely when talking about his children, becoming gentle, affectionate, and sometimes quiet. If I could go back in time and relive any moment in my life, he said in an emotional interview, the first thing I would think of would be the birth of my children. It was a miracle, and it always will be. But behind the spotlight and the famous father and artist was Dorothea, the one who kept it all together. The person behind the scenes is the glue that holds the family together. Jon once said, I'm a dreamer with a lot of dreams, a lot of vision, but also a lot of broken things. She's the one behind me with the glue, the thread, and the needle, holding everything together. That bond extends beyond personal feelings and extends to their shared philanthropic efforts. Together they founded the Jon Bon Jovi Soul Foundation in 2006, which focuses on building affordable housing, supporting vulnerable communities, and fostering compassion. It's a way for them to not only live happily, but also to spread that happiness to others. Jon once confided sincerely, I'm happiest when I'm doing my job right, being true to my family, and making the world a little better. This is not the autobiography of a star, but of a man who knows how lucky he is to have found the love of his life and kept it for current life. Today, Jon Bon Jovi and Dorothea Hurley are enjoying a stable, warm, and meaningful life, not only as husband and wife, but also as partners in social and charitable activities. The two live mainly in New Jersey, near where they grew up and met in high school, although Jon still makes frequent public appearances for his music career. Dorothea has always chosen to live a private life behind the scenes, focusing on family and charity work. They always prioritize spending time with each other and with their children, even though their children are now adults. Jon Bon Jovi and Dorothea Hurley's children are all grown up and pursuing their paths, reflecting the family values they were raised on. Stephanie Bon Jovi, the eldest daughter, has gone through some difficult times in the past, but she has now settled down and chosen to live a private life away from the limelight. Jesse Bon Jovi, the second son, has gone into business, co-founding the Hampton Water wine brand with his father, a project that not only demonstrates the entrepreneurial spirit, but also demonstrates the bond between 2 generations in the family. Meanwhile, Jake Bon Jovi, the third son, has become the center of media attention with his romantic relationship with actress Millie Bobby Brown, star of the series Stranger Things. The couple is engaged and has received much attention from the public. Romeo, the youngest in the family, is still finishing his studies and lives a private life, away from the noise of the entertainment industry. Although each has their path, what they have in common is the independence and solid family foundation that Jon and Dorothea have built over the years. Jon Bon Jovi continues to pursue his passion for music, but he is more selective in his activities to spend time with his family. In 2024, he released the album Forever, a personal and thoughtful project. The album also ties into the Hulu documentary series Thank You Goodnight, The Bon Jovi Story, which chronicles Jon's musical journey and personal challenges, including a vocal injury that forced him to adjust his lifestyle and performance. Today, in addition to their music careers and happy family life, Jon Bon Jovi and Dorothea Hurley maintain a deep commitment to philanthropy through the JBJ Soul Foundation, which they co-founded. The foundation focuses on supporting communities facing homelessness, low incomes, and lack of basic living conditions. More than just donations, Jon and Dorothea are directly involved in initiatives that create sustainable solutions, especially in the areas of affordable housing and access to healthy food. One of their most passionate projects is a chain of community restaurants called JBJ Soul Kitchen. Here, diners do not have to pay if they cannot afford to. Instead, they can volunteer to serve, clean, or contribute in any way they can in exchange for a full and nutritious meal. Not only does this model provide practical solutions for the poor, it also helps rebuild self-esteem and a sense of belonging, something Jon and Dorothea have always said is at the core of their approach to charity. They also welcome everyone in the community, from struggling students, people who have lost their jobs, to families rebuilding their lives after a disaster, in a warm, unpretentious, non-discriminatory space. That spirit of tolerance and service is summed up by Jon himself in a heartfelt quote: "Charity is not just about giving, it is about staying sane and grateful. And I am grateful that she is always there for me." In short, at 63, Jon Bon Jovi is no longer seeking the pinnacle of fame. Instead, he and Dorothea are living the life they once dreamed of: simple, loving, connected, and committed to the community. What do you think about Jon Bon Jovi's decision to get married? Was it an impulsive decision? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in the next video.